Danny, this is crazy, man. You got everybody thinking that we're kissing sisters out. See, I mean, at this point, Danny, you're drunk. Because you know how everybody says when you tie, it's like a brother and sister kissing.
No,
like, you never heard that? Oh, you're wild, bro.
That's the battered way of looking at things, though, right? Because
we're the battered Herons, Ian.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Chris, the Herons are back. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 45 of the Battered Herons podcast. I am your host, Daniel Granada. Alongside me is my co-host, KBD, Christian Durant himself. How are you doing, sir? Oh, you are on mute, sir. Good start.
Oh, that's a good catch. High. Good catch there.
Starting hot.
Starting hot.
Right,
so,
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, today's Wednesday, National Hump Day, I guess. And actually, right before getting on, I was watching Ted Lasso. So if any of you haven't watched it, it was a really good episode.
Ted Lasso
you guys
Wednesday.
Gotta catch it. Yeah, it is Ted Lasso. And it's also Woo Wednesday, but I haven't gotten to that just yet.
Ted Lasso Wednesday. How many episodes are they going to drop this season? Because I feel like that show is so short. They drop a couple episodes, and the next thing I know, the season's over.
It's kind of disappointing, to be honest, how short the season felt last year. I mean, I love the show. I love how different it is. So, I guess.
My understanding that this is the final season, so that's even more of a reason that's going to stink. But anyway, speaking of stinking, we've stunk for the last 4 weeks, but we're heading back home to play against FC Dallas. And as always, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. live on YouTube, we have an opposing podcast on here to defend themselves and tell us why they will beat Miami's ass like everybody else has been doing. So joining us today, we have Jose Carmona from the I almost slipped up there. From Afterburn Soccer, correct?
That's correct. Afterburn.
I almost went with the old name. Old name.
Yeah, we used to be Big D Soccer or Big D After Dark podcast.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Yeah, when I heard that name, I was like, let me double check to make sure that is a soccer podcast before I contact them, because that seems a little iffy.
A little sketch.
You should have heard our original intro song.
Oh, I mean, you can go. But you can go a lot of places with that.
It did.
Was it chicken brown cow? Is that what we were doing there?
No, it was intro saying how we were gonna give you the Big D Soccer.
Hey, there we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. A buddy of mine just basically started playing his guitar and wrote it. We were laughing so hard. So, let's run with it.
All right, so. Thank you for joining us, man. We really appreciate it. It's been a rough couple weeks for us. Right, we started hot. We won 2 games, even though they weren't necessarily convincing 2 wins. But we won 2 wins, and it is what it is. We had 2 clean sheets the first 2 weeks, and then the third week we lost to NYCFC. Again, they didn't score on us, but we had an own goal. We lost that game also, and it's just been a terrible 4-week stretch. Lost 4 in a row, and we're not feeling very positive. So we're hoping that when we talk to you and we're done with this, we feel a little more optimistic, which I'm doubting. I'm doubting it. But let's see. So before we get into talking about FC Dallas, we are going to talk FC Dallas a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I want to talk specifically about something that's been going on in the FC Dallas stratosphere. Something that even got my wife's attention. And my wife doesn't pay attention to anything MLS unless it's Inter Miami. But she came to me and she said, "What's this about?" And that is Miss Becky G and Sebastian Leggett. Is that how I pronounce it?
Leggett.
Leggett. Now, what's going on? Because I know that he said that he had a mental illness and he had to take time away, but now he's back. It has to have been a distraction for the team, I'm assuming.
Well, it is. I mean, keep in mind that he missed a very important match against LAFC of all teams, and that's also the week that he's one of our 2 starting 8s, and our other starting 8, Paxton Pomykal, was banged up and also didn't start. So right off the bat, the team was forced to alter their formation against LAFC, and
And
shortly
then you guys got a
thereafter,
red card that game.
we got a red card, and yeah, even then the team lost 2-1, but they had a shot. They had a shot to walk out of there with a point, and blew it late.
Ooh.
Reoccurring theme.
So while somebody was banged up, you got legit also getting banged up with Becky G, I guess.
Getting
right?
Banged up in social media and around the world.
She was the one that was getting the big D after dark. I had to do it.
I mean, she wasn't though, right? It was him.
No,
it was him
it was
that,
him.
that was messing around, man.
That was being a big D diplomat worldwide, thing. So,
No.
but yeah, it's a distraction that frankly we're not used to as FC Dallas fans. We're not used to seeing, on national news, them talking about FC Dallas. It's like, what is this? So
I'm telling you,
it wasn't
my
like
came up and asked me.
It's also he wasn't in the best of shape, in the best of form coming in to the season. So add that on top of the distraction, and the Jets off to a slow start this year.
Yeah.
He missed the LAFC game, and then you guys played against Portland last week, but that was a home game, correct?
That was correct.
Okay. So this week coming up is going to be his first road game after the scandal. Yes or no?
That's correct. Yes.
So I know we have quite a few Vice City members, sports supporter groups, Southern Legion, the Siege. You guys listen to the show. We need you guys to come out and start singing Becky G songs at the top of your lungs for a large portion of the game. I'm going to hit up Mike Marinelli, the PA announcer, and I need him to get me in contact with whoever's DJ, because we need to have Becky G playing before game, during warm-ups. Like, this has to be a thing, right? This is the first time he plays a road game. Like, this has to be a thing.
And
it's in Miami, so like the possibility of having people know the Becky G lyrics, I mean, it's the highest potential in any road game.
Patrolling, we're Miami, we play Becky G anyway, right? I mean, I think
exactly.
I don't really recognize too many Becky G songs, but I would assume this is a good market for her.
Yeah, I expect there's going to be a reoccurring theme on the road with teams doing their best to upset
to get in his head.
Hey, yeah, and that's
so we got to get it started.
That's what the home fans are supposed to do,
For sure.
So
we got to get it started. All right. So Dallas, before the season started, you guys ended last year. You were top 3, correct?
That's correct.
So before this year, I would assume. I mean, I know you guys lost Matt Hedges, but I would assume you guys had high hopes. How are you guys feeling after the first 6 weeks? No, you guys didn't have high hopes.
No. FC Dallas is the fandom is a usually pessimistic bunch, and we had a new manager. Nico Estevez was the new manager, and we had a lot of turnover. We had a lot of players that we brought in, and honestly, the hope was just to squeak into the playoffs. We were not optimistic, and the team, outperformed by any possible standards you can throw out there. Even road performances were better than previous years. Ferreira had the 18-goal season. Martin Paz was loaned in from Europe, and
I'll tell you what's impressed me of the team so far is even with the 2 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws, FC Dallas is still kind of in higher of the middle of the pack. You guys are in 6th place, right? I mean, it's early in the season, so like, who knows?
Well, they should have won last week.
Yes. And you ask any fan, and despite the record, the 2-2-2, the team's underperforming. In all honesty, I mean,
yeah,
as pessimistic as FC Dallas fans are, we still have a loss at home to Minnesota United, and then we have that draw at home against Portland, and that's just, as a fan, you expect those to be W's.
Yes.
There's a reason for that, and I'll tell you a little bit later when we talk about weaknesses.
All right, and just a quick fact, Chris, I don't know if you realize, how he was talking about manager turnover. their head coach 2
Yeah.
managers ago, Lucci Gonzalez, was it Gonzalez?
Lucci. Yeah, Gonzalez. Yeah.
Lucci. He was the head coach at our high school, Chris, at Varela.
That's right. Yes, he was.
No
He
way.
was.
Yeah, he was.
Now,
Yeah, he was.
He was
Yeah.
the head. He's in San Jose now, but he was the head coach there. Then he was teaching algebra, I believe. He was an algebra teacher. Then he went and he coached at Columbus, and then he moved up the ranks and eventually got a job as a head coach in Dallas, and now he's in San Jose. But yeah, fun fact for those local people, he was the head coach of the Varela Vipers and Columbus. For those of you that
Lucci was the director for the vaunted FC Dallas Academy, and basically went from director to head coach. And in all honesty, a lot of us felt that he wasn't ready for that step up. To go from director straight to from academy director to the coach. And wish him great luck in San Jose, and hopefully he's learned from some of his mistakes. He had a penchant for playing a lot of the kids, and the people that in FC Dallas that are play the kids types loved Lucci for that.
Yeah.
Well, and he got his start with the whole directing for the youth down here, because he was the director for the Kendall Soccer Academy. So again,
Nice.
For those of you that are listening that are in the Kendall area, he was one of ours for a while.
We're getting
and then
local. We're diving local.
Local. Yes, Chris doesn't anymore, but I still live in Kendall, so we're local.
Fun little fact.
We're in the dirt.
Fun little fact. Speaking of Lucci, San Jose has a great academy at this time, and their DP signing this year is Carlos Gresso. Used to be the starting 6 for FC Dallas. The guy was a beast. He was one of the destroyer types. We sold him to Augsburg, and then we've been missing him since. I mean, the fandom has been begging for the team to sign someone like Carlos Gresso, preferably Carlos Gresso. So everyone's not surprised that Lucci goes to San Jose, and his first DP signing is Carlos Gresso. So great signing for them.
So he's finding gems out. He's finding gems out here. He's getting sleepers and just putting it in everybody's face in the world at this point. Then,
well, it's early. We'll see. But he's up to this over there.
Well, one thing that Steve Munoz, he's watching with us. He mentioned Dallas and Miami fans. Equals pessimistic bunch. So handshake on that.
True.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, these. Let me tell you, I'm going to tell you something, Jose. These last couple of games have been miserable, and at least for us, I can't really picture any of our recent games being, the ball bounces one way or the other. We'd have different outcomes, but looking at the past 6 games that FC Dallas has had, a couple bounces one way or the other, the record could be completely different.
Absolutely
so that's kind of scary. I mean, it's not like FC Dallas doesn't have they got a baby team here. You guys are kind of the real deal a little bit, no?
I think the potential is there for them to be real contenders, but I think we're a team that has some weaknesses in the lineup that have yet to be addressed, and trust me, the fandom is constantly talking about what this team needs to do to become a solid top 3, because honestly, top 3 last year in the Western Conference was an overachievement for this team, and some fans expect them to come back down to the pack, but others like myself believe that with the right moves they can stay top 3.
Well, speaking of right moves and wrong moves, go ahead, Chris.
No, you go ahead, Danny. My fault.
Well, I was going to ask you. You guys are waiting for the right moves, but you guys lost Matt Hedges, and I would assume that has to be a huge loss in the back. Have you guys addressed that at all? Because I'm assuming that has to be one of the weaknesses, because not only was he a great defender, but he's also great with distributing the ball. And let me tell you something, the MLS, getting somebody that can defend as a center back and also is good distributing the ball from the back isn't necessarily something easy to come by.
And it's especially true for a team like Dallas who prefers to play out of the back. So, yes, we absolutely miss Matt Hedges. We currently have 3 center backs vying for the 2 spots, and Nico has been sort of hasn't settled on 2 starting center backs. That is an issue right now. The interesting thing is that our best current center back is Nkosi Tafari, who was the 3rd center back last year, and some of us were hoping that he would make the step up because we had Martinez, who's returning starter, and replace Hedges. And what's happened is Tafari has stepped up. He's been a beast. He's been this guy averages like 6-7 aerial wins per match. The guy's just been dominant versus Dallas, but at the same time, Jose Martinez has started to show his age. He's stepped down, and Ibeaga, who was brought in from LAFC, is a mixed bag right now.
Yeah.
In all honesty, the Martinez and Ibeaga both have strengths and weaknesses, and the manager has to sort of pick his poison. So Martinez is a solid defender, but he's slow.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have excellent recovery speed. And for a player who likes to move forward a lot, that can be an issue against some of these teams that have, that like to hit you on the counter or like to do aggressive things off of turnovers. Martinez can be a liability in that. And he is a good passer too. But athletically, age, it shows against certain players, against certain teams.
Yeah.
And Ibeaga is the opposite. He's athletic, great recovery speed, not a very good passer out of the back, or at least he hasn't shown it to be. And he has penchant to make mistakes. So he can be dominant in the air also, and physically, but he hasn't settled in, and it's an issue week in and week out, trying to figure out which one of them is going to start, and then are they going to be able to give us a full 90 without any mistakes?
So Matt Hedges, big loss, and you guys usually like to play out of the back. So what do you guys? You guys play what, a 4-3-3?
A 4-3-3 with a single pivot, number 6.
Okay,
that's another issue. That's issue number 2. We don't have a lockdown defender at the 6.
And I saw that you guys got a couple yellow cards in the last game. I always mention in this podcast, I'm just getting new into this sport, and what I refer to is FIFA cards, right? And you guys got Quignon, who I guess he came off the bench, and he ended up scoring a goal in the game. How come he isn't starting? If you know anything about that, because to me, just looking from the outside, not being super into FC Dallas, just looking at cards, I'm thinking to myself, well, Quignon, this guy sounds like he's amazing, but he's sitting in the bench. When I see something like that, that's kind of scary.
Quignon is actually in a battle for the starting position with Edwin Cerrillo, our homegrown. And that's the other issue with the defense is we don't have a lockdown defender like Carlos Grueso or anything like that. We have Cerrillo, who's more of a position player, and he's excellent at moving the ball forward. But he's not a guy that he's a really nice guy, So he's not intimidating.
He's not like a strong force, and he's not like a defensive midfielder. So
he's a player that's really good at intercepting balls, and he does a good job, but he's still young, and he's not a dominant type of player that you would want at that 6 spot. He's really good helping the attack go forward, and that's against certain teams. He's the player to play.
Sounds like Mota.
Quignon is the opposite. He's the better defender of the two, but he's not much.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he scored a goal, but usually he's a liability in the attack, and is not as good a progressive passer, offensive-minded player as Cerrillo. So those two guys have been going back and forth, and Cirillo's got a run of starts because Quignon had was banged up. So in all honesty, I would say that in the past year or so, they've been altering, and usually if we're on the road, Quignon is usually the starter, and Cerrillo usually starts the home games. So you guys may actually get Quignon starting against you guys.
So the strength on your team, I would assume, is the front three.
Yes,
right.
It's our
With
attack.
Ferreira.
It's our attacking five actually. It's with
Velasco.
Ariola, Velasco, Ferreira, and then the dualates of Leggett and Paxton Pomico. That's the strength of this team. And of course, excellent goalkeeping from Martin Paz.
Well, and one of our guys here, yeah, and one of our guys here, Steve Munoz, actually just brought this up a little bit ago. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? Right. So, I mean, you're going over some of the strengths, I guess the top five. Other than the top three, I mean, I guess we can expect a good game out of Leggett, no?
It depends on what kind of defense.
And if we can get in his head.
Let me ask you a question. What kind of defense does your team play? Are they a high press team? Are they a low block, mid block?
We don't press high like I wish we would, and we've been wanting. The thing is, we play with fullbacks, but we use them as wingbacks. Okay, so we're constantly leaving. We don't have enough defense because we don't have our six. Our natural six, Gregory, used to fall back to play like he used to play back, right, like a third center back, right? He was the six, but he would play like a third center back, which would help cover up for the two fullbacks that go up so often.
He'd help support.
Since Gregory's been injured, we haven't had that support. So we've been getting caught on the counter quite often, and Yedlin and Negri haven't been able to get back. That's how we got scored on in the 92nd minute against Kai Kamara, which went from a draw to a loss in the last couple minutes. And it's been a recurring issue the last couple weeks. So the fan base has been wanting to go with three in the back and play with our, most of our offense comes from the wings, and Yedlin and Negri are doing a good job getting the ball up and crossing it in, even though we don't cross it with much success because we don't have anybody to receive the ball. But that's a different story. We do, because we're going to stick with that game plan, let's at least have three in the back, because that's been our downfall, that we don't have enough people up there to defend once Negri and Yedlin are way too far past to come back for the counter. So that is our weakness as far as strengths and weakness we go.
So FC Dallas
just to bring up.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jose. Sorry about that.
I was gonna say FC Dallas has like its kryptonite, and that is, and I'm gonna point out 3 opponents to you right now. Minnesota United, that's a loss at home. You had Vancouver, draw. You had Portland, draw. All 3 of them play a mid to low block. FC Dallas, that's the FC Dallas kryptonite. We may be the attack may be fast and young and exciting, but if a team sits in a mid to low block and just condenses and forces Dallas to try to break them down, this is the FC Dallas weakness. This is something that the teams that they struggle against are the teams that play that. So if your team doesn't play a mid to low block, or attempt to play one, that's music to FC Dallas fan, because the teams that FC Dallas tends to have success are the teams that are willing to run up
to attack.
Attack and counterattack, because FC Dallas likes to feast on turnovers and quick counters, and they have the players for that.
And you guys press high and press often.
They're opportunistic in their pressing. They're like one of these teams that there's certain cues will trigger a press. So at times, it depends on what your team does. If your team, if they watch for certain things and if it's favorable, then they'll press you to death. But if not, they're more than happy to sit back and play defense.
Well, and I was just looking back at the couple games. FC Dallas played the 4-3-3 in the last game. They played against Kansas City. They played also the 4-3-3. But when they played LAFC, they actually played the 4-2-3-1. So I mean, at this point, who knows what kind of formation Dallas is going to be putting out.
That was the whole. So the formation that FC Dallas roll out will be a 4-3-3. Against LAFC, that's not a formation that we're used to seeing, and that was predicated due to the whole Leggett missing, Becky G drama.
Yeah.
one of our starting eights, and then Paxton Pomykal, our other starting eight, being injured. He was on the bench, but they didn't use him, and it forced the team to adjust their starting lineup and their starting formation to compensate for that. But that's not a formation that we're used to seeing. In that match, Velasco, who's our starting left winger, he started as a 10, and he looked good, by the way. For the 30-some minutes that we had 11 guys.
He's a baller. He's a baller.
But yeah, that's not a common. There's 3 formations you can expect from FC Dallas. The primary is your 4-3-3, and then depending on where the game is in the late stage, if they're protecting a lead or if they're on the road and trying to protect the point, they may go to 3 in the back with Tafare, Martinez, and Adiaga, all 3 of them back there. But if they're chasing the game or they feel they can get 3 points or whatnot, they may go to a 4-4-2, and that's because of the addition of Jesus Jimenez will come in as your second striker. And they're still working him into the team. So we're still yet to see him score or play significant minutes. But what we've seen of him, he looks like an excellent addition for the team.
That surprises me.
But that's what I want to hear.
Surprises me about what
go ahead. No, I want to hear some names. That's what I want to hear, right? Because it's great that you're bringing him up, and what were you going to get to, Danny? Because I was going to try to see what players we need to be scared of.
I can tell you the starting lineup, and the positions that there may be changes to. So you got Martin Paz as your goalkeeper. Marco Farfan is our starting left back. And he's a defensive-minded player. He's very tough to beat on defense, and he's been.
But now, if there's one guy, if there's one guy that you would tell our fan base and say this is that guy that you have to be worried about, who is that guy?
I would say right now it would be Velasco. Velasco looks to have stepped it up, but in all honesty, you could say the same thing for healthy Paxton Pomykal. When Paxton Pomykal is healthy, he's the guy that's the playmaker that can make the through passes, that can break down defenses. So either one of those guys. I know everyone, anyone in the attack, in all honesty, is dangerous. But right now, Velasco seems to have stepped it up, and he had 3 shot attempts last week and two on goal, and he's the guy to watch because he's going to be paired up against Yedlin, right? Who likes to come forward.
Who likes to come? Yes, you're going to see him on the touchline plenty of times.
Velasco is I would say he's. I'm not saying he's a fast player, but he's quick with the ball at his feet, and he's tricky. And most teams will prefer to double team him because he has a tendency to cut in and take curving shots from the left, top corner of the box there. Very dangerous player. Nice. He can cause havoc, and that's the match I'll be watching. But you're telling us that your left back also tends to push forward, and
he's our best offensive player so far this year, probably.
And so that's the key matchup. Really, it's going to be your backs against our wings because Areola. While no one ever accuses him of being the fastest or biggest guy, the guy is just a machine when it comes to hustling. This guy is basically a nonstop motor, and he makes things happen out of nothing just because he's constantly scraping and I've seen him outleap center backs, as short as he is, and get assists off a header. You're like, what's this guy doing? The guy just hustles and hustles and hustles, and while it's not sexy, it's appreciated when he's successful. So yes,
I was surprised that you said that the weakness is playing against a low block, because I figured with those skilled forwards that you have, that wouldn't be necessarily a weakness.
It's a weakness
because that's our weakness. Team. Last week, everybody's like, "Oh, Inter Miami had 62% of possession." That's because Cincinnati game planned that way. They said, "Go ahead, pass the ball around as much as you want. You will not do anything in that final third." And we did absolutely nothing in that final third. So that's a skewed number. That 62% sounds cute on a paper, but we really did nothing with that possession. You could pass it back all you want. If you're not doing anything, it means absolutely nothing. But I figured with the attack that you have, that wouldn't be a weakness for you.
Oh, well, FC Dallas is the smallest team. I mean, look at our forwards there. They're all 5'10" or smaller.
Same here.
And
we're 5'7" or smaller.
Yeah, so it's a smallish team, and it's an issue. It becomes an issue when teams are just sitting back, daring you to take it into the box, and it's been an issue for years. It's not an issue just this year. This has been an issue for many years, and like I said, if you look at our record, the teams that we struggle against, that FC Dallas has struggled against, Minnesota United, Vancouver, Portland, they all play a mid to low block, and they all basically just sat back and said,
bring it.
Well, and I'll tell you that one of our guys here, Will 13, he asked just to touch base on what's going on with one of our better players. What's any updates on Mr. Forever Injured, aka Carmona? We actually had somebody else chime in. Lucas kicked in, said that he apparently trained today. Yeah, I was looking it over, and he did train today.
And I believe I saw a reporter say that he's expected to play Saturday. I can't remember for the life of me who it was that said it, but I think I remember reading that he's expected to play Saturday, which would be a breath of fresh air because he was expected to be our MVP this year, and he is yet to play a game this year.
At least a regular season game.
I'm going to point out another weakness that FC Dallas has had so far this
Bring
season.
them. I want to hear it.
They are. I would say they're similar. One is FC Dallas is a slow starting team. They a lot of their games in the first 10, 15 minutes.
Yep.
Team comes out and they're being out hustled. And the fans are like we're throwing up our hands going, what is going on? And then, it takes about 15 minutes or so before the team finally settles in and starts playing ball. But with many of our games this year, the first 10, 15 minutes, we've been sitting there just watching the team basically get run over and run through and going, what's going on? And this has been a recurring theme where the team simply comes out flat. And mind you, if we're lucky, it's only 10, 15 minutes. There's been some matches where they've been flat entire half. So this is an issue right now with FC Dallas. The other issue that goes with that is FC Dallas has had trouble closing out teams. The perfect example is Portland, up 1-0.
Yeah, Portland last week.
And they scored in the 91st minute. That's because our back line is, like I said, we haven't figured it out. The team they haven't figured out, and it's inconsistent. They make little mistakes that prepared teams can take advantage of. Here's a stat that you guys would appreciate because I know you guys haven't scored for a couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
FC Dallas has allowed at least one goal in the last 12 games going back.
Woo! I know.
And we thought Portland was finally going to be done, and they still scored.
That though, if we were on the road, at home we score. We're a good home team. It's on the road that we can't score. We've had 3 home games, and every home game we've scored twice. But we are yet to score on the road. I don't know what do we do on the road. We live in Miami, guys. If you can live in Miami and still be ready to play, you should be able to go to where we've been, Cincinnati, and be ready to play. It's not like you're going out partying in Cincinnati. We live in Miami. What the hell?
It's just notoriously tough, I mean, people forget how big this country is. Cincinnati, that's quite a trip, And you're talking about changing weather. You're talking about changing surfaces.
I think the weather has been impacted us,
it affects some players you would think wouldn't be affected by this, but you're like, you got some guy who's played his entire life in, say, Argentina or Brazil.
That's most of our team.
Oh yeah.
And they get to like a 50-degree weather, and they're like, freezing out there. They're like, what is this? It's like,
was it the Toronto game that it was a wind chill of like -5 or something like that? So
yes, it was.
That's brutal. That's brutal.
Now,
I'll give you a quick personal example. When I grew up in Texas, and where I lived, it never ever got colder than 20 degrees. Never. My whole time I lived there.
Pretty cold.
I'm just saying, and that was extreme weather, by the way. So my first year in Wisconsin, I'm wearing. I'm thinking I bought like the biggest coat I could find in Texas and whatnot. It was like a windbreaker over here. It was like within the first as soon as fall hits and the temperature dips and the first snowfall comes, you're just like, what the hell is this? And that's basically try imagine an athlete getting that shock on the field.
No, for sure.
What are we doing here? Why are we playing this kind of weather?
I'm with you 100%, and I'm assuming coming in at halftime for 15 minutes and then getting right back to it has to be difficult also. And just to answer Richard Greenberg right now, the weather it's in the 50s, and this weekend
right now it
70,
is.
but we're playing in Miami, so we don't care what the weather's like in Dallas.
and it's Dallas. They got the GA Cup and whatnot going on. So yeah, it's really 50. It's 50. It's nice weather, believe it or not. It's not. We don't think that's cold. We think that's good soccer weather. In all honesty,
it is good soccer. If you're in the high 50s, low 60s, that's good.
Exactly.
That's perfect. Now you
Steve
brought
Munoz
up
said
a reason.
You won't kill us in set pieces.
My
understanding is that Dallas has improved their set pieces this year drastically. Am I wrong? Because that's what I thought I had read.
Yes, they have. Our center back pairing of Tafari and Ibeaga are pretty dominant in the air and have combined to score 2 set piece goals. And of course, also the goal against Portland was off of a set piece. So this is new territory for Dallas, who have in the past years not been a good set piece team, but having aerial dominant players like Tafari and Ibeaga has made them a threat on set pieces because they bring both of them up. This is something to watch for. They bring both their center backs up to be part of the set pieces, and send our right back and left back are usually the guys that do that.
So real quick, let's bank on a header goal from Dallas this week, because every time we bring up the height, you were talking about the height of your team a couple minutes ago. When we bring up the height of our team, we're not exaggerating. On average, I believe our height is like 5'8", 5'9". We have, by far in the league, we win the least amount of headed duels. We're like at 34%. I looked it up. Dallas is 4th best at 57%. So there's a huge disparity there. So expect a lot of lobbed balls, maybe centered, or set piece goals. We're definitely going to lose that. Maybe Campana coming back helps us out a little bit. Maybe they put in Mabika or Sailor to be that third center back. We got to do something different, because when it comes to the aerial, we have no chance.
What I want to hear from Jose is, yeah, go ahead. You were saying, Jose?
I was going to say, expect goals. In all honesty, I expect both teams to score goals.
Well, and that's one thing I want to bring up, right? You brought up the fact that Dallas has allowed goals in a lot of their recent games, and the fans want to hear a reason to be optimistic about this game. We've had 4 terrible games after winning 2 straight, and we need a reason to be happy this Saturday at Dry Pink Stadium. So what do you think, or give us one of the reasons that you think that we can be able to feel happy and optimistic about the game coming up this Saturday?
And well, that comes down to the flat starts from FC Dallas. I mean, there's a very real possibility that FC Dallas comes out and flat against my opponent that they're not going to be up for. I mean, let's face it, they're not a rival. This is a team that some people say, hey, it's a fresh opponent, someone you don't normally face. That's a good thing. That can also be a bad thing, because you're not. It's not a rival. It's not someone that you can get a team fired up. And for a team that has shown, even against rivals, the inability to come out hot on fire, this could be. I think this is your window. I think there's a real possibility that FC Dallas comes out flat, and if Miami can score early, that gives themselves a shot. If they can sit back and play more defensively and force FC Dallas to try to break them down. So
in 6 games, you guys have already conceded 2 penalties.
Yes, the
so
refs
maybe a little reckless play inside the box.
Now, I would say, like I said, it's a flat start. That's as far as penalties, we're still trying to figure out our starting back 4, and that's a team that plays solid defense for most of the game, but is prone to making game altering mistakes.
Well, and if there's any team that knows that more, is us, because last year we spent a lot of our time trying to figure out the back four, and there were a couple hiccups in the midst of that, but hopefully we can be able to get a penalty because the refs owe us from last game, Danny, when they got us in the penalty box, but right outside the penalty. I know it wasn't, but you know,
penalty, man.
it's the IOU, baby. They owe us. They owe us.
That wasn't a penalty, but I have heard that Dallas likes to play out of the back, but after Matt Hedges left, they've had some difficulty playing out of the back.
Yes.
So I would think that if we have Campana back and we're playing a two-striker set, that we need to press them and we got to stay on top of them because they're prone to mistakes back there trying to play out of the back, and that's one thing that we need to try to take advantage of.
Yes.
What were you saying, Jose?
I was going to say no. This is correct, but like I said, the teams that FC Dallas tends to have issues against are teams that are going to sit back and force them to break them down.
We're not doing that.
If you guys are going to try to come at FC Dallas, like I said, music to our ears, because FC Dallas loves to hit you with those quick,
So it sounds like it's going to be an entertaining game then, because we're not sitting back.
Absolutely. I'm looking for an entertaining back and forth game with teams, with both teams getting their shots, and I think it's going to be a fun game. It could be one of the most entertaining games of, I mean, for non-fans, for us, it would be a roller coaster ride. I'm expecting a very entertaining game because, like I said, Dallas likes teams that come after them, even though they've been struggling getting their pass coming out of the back. But once they get past midfield, it's on. So yeah, I think with the way both teams play, this has entertaining multiple goals scored type match.
So I guess that could lead us straight into our predictions, because you say entertaining. I think me and Chris agree. It sounds like it might be an entertaining game because we're both going to be attack-minded. I don't think you guys are going to sit back and let us come at you like Cincy did. So, Jose, I know you're an optimistic Dallas fan. What are you thinking as far as the prediction for this week's game?
I'm going to play it safe and say I expect a 1-1 match. That's my prediction.
That doesn't sound exciting. You said exciting and entertaining. Boo.
I have a lot to have an entertaining game. I mean, I expect one or two shots off the posts. Where we'll be scratching our heads. And
speaking of which, Portland had a few of those last week that you guys could have easily lost that game.
Exactly, and we actually had a match where Martin Paz gave up a PK and then saved it. Then they made him retake it and saved it again. So it's basically, like I said, I think it's going to be an entertaining back and forth match with both teams attacking. I think it's 1-1 simply because one thing I said, Dallas I think has solid defense, and it's the team that gets that second goal. Both teams were pushing for that win at the end, I believe. I think it's going to be 1-1 with both teams seeing they have their chance, and I think it's going to be a frantic last 10-15 minutes. So I think it'll be exciting, not in a 2-2, 3-3 goal scoring type, but it'll be exciting in wow, this should have had more than 2 goals scored.
Right. I get what you're saying.
Getting tired of these tie games and these little small scoring games. Like, get out of here with that.
Actually, Chris, Jose, I have a question.
You were saying, Danny?
Now that you're here, I have a question for Jose. Now that you bring up tied games, this is something that's been going on for the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you heard it during our intro, but now that I have you and we brought up tied games, I need to ask you, have you ever heard, this is a little off topic, so just bear with me. Have you ever heard of a draw? You did hear of a draw being referred to as kissing your sister?
Yes, absolutely. I've heard it many times. I'm surprised you've never heard that. In all honesty.
No, what kind of sexist
exactly.
Stuff is this?
That's exactly what I said, Jose. I'm like, are you kidding me that you've never heard of this? This is something that when I looked it up, it's been in existence since like the early 1900s. So the fact that Danny doesn't know what it means, that means that he's been living under a rock his whole life. So Danny,
you know what it is? It's that you guys are Cowboys fans. This is a very common theme for Cowboys fans. That's what that is. All right, Chris.
I want to give you guys something to watch for. That'll tell you how the team is doing. Jesus Ferreira. You got to watch him.
Oh,
And
of course.
And I can tell you when us FC Dallas fans know that we're in trouble, that we are gonna struggle to score, and that is that Ferreira, when he doesn't get the ball, he tends to drop further back, into the midfield
to try to receive the ball,
to try to get the ball, and takes himself out of attacking chances. And this happens. This has happened against Minnesota, Portland.
it happened last
teams.
week.
And yep. So when you start seeing, if you start seeing Jesus Ferreira doing that, yeah, you guys have a shot. So
that's what we went through that a lot last year with Higuain. He felt like he wasn't getting enough service, so he would constantly be falling back to look for the ball, right?
If you see Jesus doing that, then you guys are doing good. But if he's not having to do that, FC Dallas is going to be getting their shots, because that's and Jesus tends to be a streaky scorer. So the last thing you do is want him to be the guy to score the goal, because he's a guy that can score in bunches. So
well, he has 3 goals already.
Yeah, he's the open the floodgates type of player. So that's your
Do
guy.
you want
That's
my
your guy to
prediction?
watch.
Yes, I want your prediction. Are we kissing sisters,
look,
Chris?
No, we're definitely not doing that. Maybe stepsisters, but not regular sisters. Okay. I think, one thing that stands out, Jose, is that you mentioning that the team has allowed a goal in each game in the last 12, 13 games. And
12,
that
right?
is something 12 games. And so that's something that's very optimistic for sure for the team. We're playing at home when we're typically very comfortable. We score goals here, typically. And if Campana comes back, Campapi finally gets on the field, supposedly, allegedly, whatever Elise we're going to use, at the end of the day, hopefully we don't walk out with an L. And if Campapi's playing, I could see us going 3-1 and handing Dallas that big fat L to go back to the big D too.
That's depending if Campana shows up. More realistically,
yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we've scored 2 goals every time we've played at home without Campana and with our offense looking like shit. So I don't think I will ever pick against Inter. I didn't even pick against them against Philadelphia when everybody.
I would
thought
never
I was crazy.
pick against them at home.
But at home, I feel like we can compete with absolutely anybody. I don't know if it's the stadium, the environment, but at home, I feel like we have a chance to win always. And this is no different. We lost last game at home against Chicago, which I thought we would win convincingly. But we went down 2-0. The first goal was earned. The second one was sloppy defense. And we ended up on the road. If we go down 2-0, that game ends up 3-0, 3-1, something along those lines. But we're basically out of it. At home, we still have a chance. We went down 2-0, and we ended up tying the game 2-2. Now, we ended up giving up a late goal in the 91st, 92nd minute because Yedlin got caught out of position. But for the most part, we came back in that game. We're a different team at home. And because of that, I think we win. We finally stopped this losing streak. And I'd say we put up 2 like we've been doing. I'll say 2-1 just because I can't see Dallas not scoring on a header.
Well, like I said, if both your backs are going to be pushing forward and you're going to be, it's just a matter of time before Areola or Velasco get one through. So,
I can see that.
So I wouldn't be shocked with a 2-2 type game. But in all honesty, I only picked 1-1 because I expect Dallas to go up 1-0 and give up a late goal to, But in all honesty, 1-1 on the road, point on the road is a good result.
It is a good result.
Team. So I expect a good result against your team. I would prefer 3 points, but I'd settle for a point on the road.
Now to Steve Munoz,
it seems like everybody else.
We lost to Chicago at home, but that second goal was a weird miracle. How that center back ended up with the ball right next to the goal, and I don't even think he was aiming. He just kicked the shit out of it and somehow hit upper 90 right next to the goal. Like McVay should have stepped in front of it. That was just a disaster of a play. And then that late goal, yes, Yedlin got caught out of position. He had just had a newborn. He probably hasn't got a lot of sleep. All those excuses that mean absolutely nothing. it is what it is. But I think that we played well. We went down 2-0. I know that it doesn't sound good or sexy, but once you go down 2-0 and you come back 2-2, you show some fight. You show that you're not out of it, especially at home. We should have ended up with at least a draw that game. And the first 2 games, we shut them out 2-0, the first 2 wins. I understand Philadelphia isn't playing to what we expected, but Philadelphia is still a solid team, and we beat them 2-0 with the full squad. So I think that we should win. And I will tell you what would surprise me the most this coming week. It's not trash. It's not a moral victory. I'm just saying we came back. Anyway, what would surprise me the most is if Neville doesn't change his tactics at all. I really think that if Campana comes back and we finally play with 2 strikers, the fullbacks will stop coming up as high. We might start playing up the middle a little more. And I really do believe that that happens with Campana's return. So I do think things will be a little different, because if we keep going up the wings with our fullbacks and we're playing the same formation and everything, I think that, maybe you're right. Maybe we do have a chance to lose. But I can't imagine Neville doing that.
So you guys need to give me 2 predictions each.
That's basically Campana, what it is, Jose.
One with Campana and one without Campana. So
I'll give you the Campana one, which is 3-1, and then I'll give you the non-Campana one, which is 2-1. I still, no matter which one, no matter which way we're going, I still feel like this team is gonna walk away with a win. But I feel like Campana. See, here's the deal. It's like what Danny said. It was expected for him to make an impact, and he hasn't seen a minute on the pitch.
He's supposed to be our best player.
And he is essentially the face of this team from when he signed his contract. So this is a player that this fan base not only has been waiting for him to play, but for him to combine with Joseph Martinez to be able to show us what we saw before the actual season started. Yeah, Danny?
No, I think we're going to win 2-1, whether it's Campana or not. Look, we've at home, we make miracle goals. We had our center back, Christoph. He made love to the ball with his hips and scored a goal off of a set piece. We've had Coco. He randomly had the ball fall into his lap when Pizarro lost the handles and completely almost had a turnover, and he scored a goal from outside the box. We had Robert Taylor, goal of the year possibly, off the chest, bring it down on a volley. Like, we find ways to score at home that are unconventional, but it just happens. I don't know how, but we just find a way to do it.
Here's the problem, Danny. I think that everybody that's on the show, and I love you guys, and thank you so much for coming on and watching and contributing to the show, but you guys are literally fitting the standard of being a battered fan. So thank you for joining the Battered Herons and being a battered fan. Hearts for everybody.
No, don't give them.
I hope for your guys' sake that Campana plays, because in honesty, if both your backs are going to be pushing forward,
it's going to be a wrap.
I absolutely Dallas will run circles through them and score more than 1 goal. So
I would hope Neville is smart enough to prepare for that. Yeah.
If that happens, then I would totally pick a 3-1 victory for FC Dallas. But like I said, I'm being realistic and saying, hey, Neville's gonna basically sit back and not do that. Maybe send one at a time as opposed to both simultaneously. You know, that's how FC Dallas does it. They send one of the backs forward, but not both. We used to send both when Lucci was our manager, but then again we had Carlos Gressel. We had some better sixes, but now it's no. It's if you're telling me that Yedlin and your left back are both going to be pushing forward, I tell you, as an FC Dallas fan, I'm just drooling at the possibility of our attack getting on track.
I'll close off for me with this. The fan base wants, not everybody, but a large portion of the fan base wants us to go to 3 in the back, because that frees up. We have a double pivot going on right now with 2 players that don't play a good 6. They don't defend. They want to be pushing forward, but they're forced to stay back to kind of cover for Gregory. And because of that, they haven't been contributing to the offense. Our offensive woes, a lot of people are like, oh, but Gregory, he didn't contribute on the offense. Yes, that's true, but the players that are now filling in for him can no longer contribute to the offense because they're trying to cover up for what we're lacking in defense because he's no longer here. So our offensive woes come from many different aspects. Our height, our lack of being able to get the ball to Joseph Martinez, the fact that Mota and Duke can't be as aggressive as they usually want to be because they're hesitant. Like, there's so many things that go into this that I think just going to a 3 in the back might help alleviate some of these things.
Well, let me ask you a question. As I don't know too much about your team,
Mm-hmm.
do you have the players for that? I mean, you got to have
No.
more than 3 good center backs. If you don't, then that's not a possibility. Let me point it out this way: FC Dallas has 3 decent center backs, but our 4th center back is a 17-year-old. Excellent,
But
excellent
he's
kid.
good, though.
He's good. Excellent kid. He's going to be a stud one day, but not a player that you want to start game in, game out if one of your starting 3 center backs goes down. So if you guys don't have a good 4 center back, that's never going to happen. You got to have at least. I mean,
we are 4 deep.
Least,
we are 4 deep at center back. We are 4 deep. Now they're not the best in the world, but we're 4 deep. We can go 3 in the back because we have. The argument is, do we want to start Sailor or Mabika as the 3rd? I would go Sailor. Some people are saying Mabika.
You have to have that.
We have the depth to do it.
And you probably got to have one of your either your left back or right back capable of playing center back if needed. FC Dallas has that in Farfan who can play center back if needed. But like I said, if we started playing 3 in the back, the fandom would just roll their eyes and throw their hands up and go, "Why haven't you signed Matt Hedges' replacement?" Because
don't worry about it. I have my own issues with our GM, even though nobody else wants to say that they also have it. But that's the argument for another day. I'm going to wait until people start getting a little more upset about the fact that we still don't have a 10 or a 6. Chris, what are you expecting as far as our lineup? Do you think Neville will finally change his formations or his tactics as to how he's playing?
I think unfortunately, I don't think that he's going to change. I think he's going to change the formation just based on the fact that if Campana does play, then I do see Joseph and Campana taking the top. So I do see a change again. This is a tale of 2 games.
You think we go diamond?
You
think we go diamond?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would say so. This is a tale of 2 games. If Campana starts, this is going to be a different formation, different outcome. If Campana doesn't start, then I feel like we're going to get the whole Joseph starts. We're going to stick with the same formation, and then Joseph gets off 60 minutes later, and then Campana comes in and fills in for him since he's just getting off of injury. That's what my prediction is. And I'm looking forward to the game because I got to see this. I got to see whether Campana is going to be able to come on and make a difference, especially since he's had some time to sort of recover off of his calf injury.
We're coming to an end. So if anybody in the chat has a question for Jose, ask it now. I think that also if Campana comes in and starts, which we were going back and forth about it last episode, and I kind of started leaning towards maybe he wouldn't start. He'd come in as a sub. But I do think that if Campana is an option, that we'd go 2 up top, and then that alone would change our formation. As much as I want them to go 3 in the back, I don't think they will. I think it'll be a diamond.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. Now, we did have a question for Carlos that all popped up.
The FC Dallas lineup will be pretty much the same as it was last week, with the lone exception being that Emma Tuomasi will probably start at right back.
Yeah.
He didn't play that match because he was on a red card suspension. Even though his replacement, Giovanni Jesus, looked really good and could push him for the starter job on the road, Tuomasi is an excellent defender, and he'll probably be the lone change to the starting lineup for FC Dallas. I do not know.
We had a question here.
Okay. Don't know who that is.
Okay.
All right.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Well, Jose, and I'll tell you this much. This is a game that I'm really looking forward to, not just because it's against FC Dallas and you are a FC Dallas supporter and you're on with us, but it's especially for the fact that things have been going so poorly for us recently. And so I feel like this might be either the turn of the curve for us or it might not be, and we might be crap, and then we might be talking even worse about Inter Miami the next week. And so,
Jose, your favorite food or dish?
Well, I'm Mexican, so tamales all day, every day. As far as Mexican food is concerned, I used to be an Italian cook, and I love me some lasagna, and I would make the hell out of that.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. Tacos aren't a big deal in the Mexican household, correct? Because where I live, there's a lot of Mexicans, and they're like, yeah, we eat tacos on a regular basis. It's not a big deal.
Tacos is like you guys making ham and cheese. It's like
Yeah, it's like a regular thing.
It's like when you're on the run and you don't have time to make a proper dinner. You're like boom, 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 and off you go. You take some tacos. So they're great.
It's
on the go
right.
and they're fun. You know, if you're having
mobile food.
Yeah, if you're having a cookout or a picnic, great. But for dinner, not usually the first thing that comes to mind.
Right. I like that analogy. It's like a ham and cheese sandwich. I like that analogy.
It is. It's like that. It's like
yes.
That's what it is. You know.
All right.
Well, boom, go.
For those of you that are in the supporters group, actually, no, I take it back. For everybody in the stadium that's watching this, make sure you listen to Becky G all week. You learn the lyrics. I'm going to figure out how to get in contact with whoever is the DJ in the stadium, because I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And we're going to have some Becky G playing in that stadium. I got to figure this out. I got Thursday? I got 3 days to figure this out. We're going to make it happen. And we're going to make Sebastian legit sub himself out. Like, he's just going to want to leave.
He's going to cry off the field.
That's the plan. We got to make this happen. So make sure we got Becky G on loop and we figure this out. And we need everybody singing along.
That's hilarious. The goal would be to get him to not even, to basically take and scratch himself from the lineup.
That's why we got to start from the pregame warm up. That's what I'm saying. So I got to get Mike Marinelli. If you're watching this, I'm contacting you after this episode.
Don't you guys do tailgates? You should be doing that on a tailgate.
I'm telling you, we're playing it. We're playing the music. I don't know many of her songs. I don't think I know any, actually. Maybe if I hear it, I'll realize it.
But you will know her whole album.
I'll be here. I'll be hearing for it. When I'm watching the game, I'll be hearing for it. So I expect this to Becky G.
Becky G all day.
All right, Danny. Before we sign off, let's just do this one last time, and then we're done with paying Callie his royalties. Okay, this is the last time. It's only fair. Jose brought up food, so I might as well transition to this. So a couple episodes ago, we had one of the biggest fans. He also does a couple other podcasts, Away Days. He's in the Inter Miami podcast family, and he brought up a picture on Twitter, and I'm going to show it to you here. And we got a couple pieces of steak and a couple pieces of toast. So just really quickly before we head out, tell me which piece of steak and which piece of toast you're going with.
It's 2 for the steak and 4 for the toast.
Okay. Yeah,
those are respectable choices.
That is a respectable.
Actually, Mexican cuisine, most of your steaks are thin, and so for me, it took many years to catch on
to 2.
Yeah, to get to 2. It took, I was oh man, it's it's got some pink, it's got some red,
of course,
cooked, right? And then one day it's like had some and it was amazing, and I'm never turned back since.
Well, that's the Hispanic culture, right?
Yeah.
Danny's Colombian, I'm Cuban. We live in Miami. You lived in Texas. So the Hispanic culture is typically throw the steak on there, and the lady's probably cooking at it like ultimate high anyway. So it's gonna come off. It's gonna come off not burnt, but it's gonna be well done, if not close to it. So getting to that is more of the finer things in life. So
that's true.
But yeah,
that's true. Also, as you get older, your tastes change. So my change for the better.
Yeah, for sure. Look, Jose, it was a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining the Battered Herons today. Tell the fans where you. Yeah, tell the fans where they can find your stuff. Tell the fans where they can be able to look you up.
Well, on Twitter, I'm at El Chico Carmona, and also we're Afterburn Soccer, where we cover all things FC Dallas related. I myself mostly write about our North Texas SC squad in MLS Next Pro. That's what I like to do. I'm also mostly known as a rumor guy, so if I hear any rumors that don't involve, who, involving your team, I'll send you guys away.
I'm so
Let's
sick
do
of hearing
it.
about Messi, man. So sick of it. All right.
I thought you guys were gonna say his name.
No, man. You know, I'm not even gonna talk about it because then we'll go on for another 20
I'll
minutes
tell you-
about just how.
I'll tell you one thing as an FC fan that has recently sort of upset me about the whole Messi thing is the rumor that supposedly every MLS franchise is going to pitch in to pay his salary so he can play for you guys. So
Of course. But it makes, I mean, I understand
It's
why
time
it
to
would
pay up.
frustrate
That
the
would be-
fans. I understand why it frustrates the fans, but as
Yeah.
ownership, that's gonna help the league
Everybody's
itself
gonna
grow
benefit.
immensely.
it
Everybody's
is, but as
benefiting.
a fan, you guys are probably
As a fan, I get it. I get it.
You guys
But
would be the
like when you
most
think
hated
big
team in the league.
picture for the league, it makes sense because the league is gonna take off. The Apple deal is gonna blow up when everybody wants to watch Messi, and they know
With
all I have
Messi,
to do is
yeah.
pay these $12-14 a month, and
You
I can
know
watch
it.
every
You
game
know
on
it.
my Apple. So it's gonna blow up, and I understand why they're doing it. Again, I understand as an opposing fan why it sounds stupid, but big picture, it makes sense. Okay, so again, thank you if you guys were in the chat. I appreciate you guys joining us live. For everybody else that listens to us on Apple, Spotify, or you're watching the YouTube later on, we appreciate you guys listening all the way to the end. Anything else for the people, Chris?
No, man. Catch us this weekend on Saturday. We're going to go past the Green Lot. So shout out to the Green Lot gang. Mike was on the podcast last 2 days ago on Monday. And so catch us out there. We're going to be at the game. We're going to be at the Green Lot. So we'll see all of you guys out on Saturday. And tell a friend to go out there. Let's fill this thing up.
I'm going to wear an I Heart Becky G shirt.
Yeah.
Look out for it, Jose. I sit right behind the goal when you're watching from the TV broadcast on the right-hand side. So when you're watching right behind the goal, look for the I Heart Becky G shirt, and that'll be me.
All right. When Ferreira scores, I'll look for your face.
Good one. That was a good one.
With that, I guess we'll sign out after that one. That one hurt. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys on Monday when we're hopefully celebrating an end to this losing streak. Catch you guys later.